In 1879, at the height of the British Empire, an army marched into Zululand certain of victory. They had rifles, artillery, and the might of the crown behind them. Against them stood the Zulu, a warrior nation armed with spears and shields. Yet on a single January day, the unthinkable happened. At the Battle of Isandlwana, the British suffered one of the greatest defeats in their history. The late 19th century was an age of imperial expansion. Britain, the most powerful empire on earth, sought to extend its control over southern Africa. In 1878, Sir Henry Bartle Frere, the British High Commissioner, issued an ultimatum to the Zulu king, Cetshwayo. The terms were impossible to accept: disarmament, disbanding of Zulu traditions, and submission to British authority. When the Zulu refused, Britain declared war. The British commander, Lord Chelmsford, believed the campaign would be swift. The Zulu, after all, had no modern artillery, no rifles in great numbers, only spears and shields. What Chelmsford underestimated was discipline, strategy, and the sheer fighting spirit of the Zulu people. The Zulu army numbered around 20,000 men, organised into regiments by age groups, drilled with strict discipline. Their weapon of choice was the Iklewa, a short stabbing spear used alongside a cowhide shield. But what made the Zulu fearsome was not their weapons. It was their tactics. The Zulu commander, Nchingwayo Kamahole, adopted the famous buffalo horns formation. 2 flanking wings to encircle, a chest to engage, and reserves as the loins. On January 22, 1879, about 1,700 British and colonial troops camped near the mountain of Isandlwana. Chelmsford had marched part of his force ahead, leaving the camp vulnerable. He dismissed the threat of a Zulu attack. At midday, the hills around Isandlwana seemed to come alive. Thousands of Zulu warriors appeared, advancing in silence, then breaking into a deafening roar. The British line opened fire. Their Martini Henry rifles cut down attackers in the front ranks. For a moment, it seemed the redcoats would hold. But ammunition was poorly distributed. Supply wagons jammed. Officers underestimated how quickly the Zulus would press the attack, and the sheer numbers of the Zulu overwhelmed the thin British firing line. The flank swept around, encircling the camp. Panic spread. British soldiers fought desperately with bayonets, then hand to hand. Officers and men were cut down in the chaos. The camp turned into a slaughter. By the end of the afternoon, over 1,300 British and colonial troops lay dead. Entire companies were wiped out. The Zulu had lost perhaps 1,000 men, but they had achieved the unthinkable. A decisive victory over the most powerful empire of the age. News of Isandlwana sent shockwaves across the British Empire. Never before had a colonial army suffered such a defeat at the hands of an indigenous force. The Zulu celebrated a great victory, but King Cetshwayo himself is said to have remarked, "An assegai has been thrust into the belly of the nation. It will soon be taken out." He understood Britain would not rest. Indeed, the empire struck back. Within months, reinforced British armies crushed the Zulu kingdom at the Battle of Ulundi. But Isandlwana remained a symbol, proof that even the mightiest empire could be humbled.